Hello, everyone. My name is Shane Bassett, the movie analyst, your host today, and I'm speaking with a very cool actor. And I've not come across a lot of her work. However, this particular movie we're going to discuss is enjoyable. I've seen it twice, and I think she's the perfect fit. Hello, Rachele Schank. Pleased to meet you.
Hi, Shane. Good to talk to you.
Sorry about the delays behind the scenes. We had a bit of delay, so I really appreciate your time. Firstly, your name. We did have a brief chat about it, but it's very unique.
Yes.
It can be said in two ways, but it is Rachele. It's a family name, you were telling me?
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, my name is Rachele Schank, and I was named after my great-grandmother, Rachele. It's an Italian name, and she was kind of the matriarch of the family. Very, very cool lady. Literally had a ticket on the Titanic, which was kind of like the famed story about her. But then her
Wow.
mother went into labor like the day that the ship took off, and so she ended up missing the boat because she had to help deliver the baby, and like her life was therefore spared. That was like kind of her famed story.
That's incredible. It's such a huge history. I mean, you might have had more of a story if she hadn't got on, but thankfully she did it.
Yeah, there would be much less of a story for our whole family had she got on. So I wouldn't be here today because she would have been in like the lowest rungs. She was not wealthy by any means. So she would have been in like the poor class parts of the ship, likely not have gotten on a lifeboat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're an actor, performer, you've done modeling. How did you start in the industry? Was it something that you've always wanted to do when you were young, or was it something that you thought would be a better option than other work? How did it come about?
I mean, a little bit of both. I think that acting was always sort of the thing that I gravitated towards in school. And so it was very easy for my parents and my mentors and teachers to encourage me in that direction because I think they saw that I really lit up when I was performing. And it was a way that I bonded with other, kids my age and things like that. So my community was really there. And I really just wanted to hang out with my friends and tell fun stories. And then as I got older, people were like, you really should think about continuing to do this. This is a profession. You actually could do this for work if you wanted. And then by the time it came to choose a major in school, I was like, well, I don't like anything as much as I like this. So let's do this. And then I, of course, started acting. And then I ended up modeling when I think started around like 19. And then I did that for about 8 years internationally, simultaneously with acting. And yeah, I just kind of held the two in tandem for a long time.
Have you ever been to Australia for any work or a holiday?
Not. It's like Australia is still on my places to get to. I have so many amazing Australian friends that I feel like it's just an entire country of cool people. I feel like I need to get down there to see you.
Yeah. Well, you should come down and also check out their projects because there's always projects, interesting international and local movies and television happening. So you don't know your luck,
Yes,
you could get some roles.
it's true. That's true. I would love that. Just come hang out in Australia.
The Love, Courage, and the Battle of Bushy Run is the film that's about to come out in the UK. And I've got to say, you fit that period costume to a T. I mean, I'd like to know how you got the role, but seriously, it's something you probably should do more of. You have that look, you have that style, and obviously the accent, which you can do quite convincingly.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean that part. I auditioned for that role. Dave Allen Johnson and Larry McLean told me that they auditioned over 1,000 girls for that part, and that they ended up thankfully selecting me because I loved that part so much. And I honestly, it was just one of those roles that the second I read the sides, I like fell completely in love with the character and got totally obsessed. And I just didn't do anything else for like a week and a half, but prepare that audition like a crazy person, just pouring through like books and imagery and letters. And I was like so deep into the character by the time I actually auditioned that I was like, I have to get this part because I'm so invested. And fortunately, it ended up happening. And period pieces are one of my favorite genres as it is. So to me, it was like so much fun. I had not been able to do a period piece on film before. I've, done theater and plays that were kind of in that style, but never on screen. So this was a really, really fun project for me to be a part of.
I'm the same as you. I like period films, books, shows. There's so many good ones out there. And This story, though, I was unaware of. When you said you did your research, did you look up the Bushy Run and Tom's character of Bouquet and everything? Because it was something that I was learning as I was watching the movie. It's not a well-known part of American history.
Completely. I had no idea about this particular battle. I had never heard of Colonel Henry Bouquet, which I was shocked when I started doing the research that I had never heard of this person, because it seems as though he
Yeah.
had an enormous impact on American history. So I kind of just became obsessed with learning about that specific battle. Obviously, we studied the French Indian War in high school and things like that, but never this person, and certainly never this love story. And so I was so fascinated to find out that, you know, a love story from the 1700s was actually well documented as well. I thought that was interesting, unique to have that information available, to have, you know, their letters to each other. I thought that was so rare. And, you know, for, you know, the actor in me, being able to dive into stuff that you can really pick apart and know that it's fact is such a gift.
Yeah, exactly. What about the accent? Is it tough to do accents? I've been told that the Australian accent can be very hard to manage, but your English accent is fantastic.
It's not something you want to hear me do, for sure. British, I have a little more of a handle on, because it's kind of like one of the most requested of an actor, I guess, you know, or at least for the roles that I'm going out for. Like, there, every now and then it pops up. So I've had to prepare it before. And thankfully, I had Tom Connolly on set. So anytime that I made a misstep, he would slap me on the wrist very kindly. And I was so grateful for that. So hopefully I didn't make too many enormous blunders. I'm sure the British people will let me know if I did. But yeah, it was fun. I really enjoy taking on a new voice for a character. It almost helps you get into the role even more, because it takes you further from who you are in the day to day.
I know that Renee Zellweger was very, they sort of really said, no, she can't be Bridget Jones before they saw the movie. And then they saw the movie and realized, yeah, her accent's great. So yours, trust me, no one's going to say anything, I don't imagine.
Thank God. If they come for me, I'm going to point them right to you. I'll be like, you talk to Shane. He told me to be fine. All right. So
Luckily, I'm down under, so it's all right. I'm safe. You mentioned the costumes and everything. What was it like being in them? Did you transform into your character? Was there something about it once you put the dresses and the coarse in your hair and everything else? You became in that era of such a different style of what you might be yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, the costume, the hair, the makeup, everything, it's such an important piece of becoming the character. I mean, obviously, like, I do my own work, and all of us, you know, every actor does their own work to try to make the emotional life of, you know, the character come to life. But when you put those things on, it's so helpful, especially when you have people who are incredibly good at what they do. I mean, our costumes, hair, and makeup all did a fantastic job, and it was fun to sit in the chair for 2 hours and let yourself be transformed. It aids immensely in suspending the belief that you've gone back in time and that you really do live in the 1700s and that you are this person. And yeah, it contributes.
What about location? I mean, they look pretty hot, but everyone seemed to be outside quite a lot. Did you cope well with that side of it? Because it's an independent film, so there might not have been as many luxuries on set.
I mean, thankfully they took care of us all right. And honestly, I was actually afforded a few more luxuries, because most of my scenes were in houses, which had air conditioning and sets
Yeah.
and indoor things like that. The guys did not have it so lucky. I know that they actually had it pretty hard, because obviously they were down in the battlefields and they're in these like enormous red coats and kilts and all of these different things. And I think there was actually an instance where a few people may have like passed out. There might have been somebody who like kind of got shuttled to a hospital. Everyone was fine in the end. You know, we all made it through. But I know that they had a lot of trouble in the elements during those battle scenes, and it was a lot to overcome. But yeah, I was thankfully I had some AC.
Good to hear. Now, love stories and connections don't always work. Chemistry isn't always there, but I thought Tom, he's a great actor. That's enough. You know, you can't say enough about that. But you and he worked very well together. Have you known Tom? Have you worked with him before, or was it like a first time to be on this project?
It was the first time we met. We met in Atlanta. We shot the film in Atlanta, and we met for coffee. And instantly got on. Like, he's just such a wonderful person. He's an incredible actor. He has an amazing sense of humor, something that may come through lightly in the film, but in real life, he's just like pain in your side, Stitch is funny. So we were laughing the entire time we were shooting this project, and we're still very, very dear friends. Like, I talk to Tom at least once a week. He's such a great guy. And yeah, so that natural chemistry that we had, just like our banter flowing and kind of jiving, I think contributed to the role. And obviously, as we trusted each other a lot, we ran a lot of our scenes together, even if it wasn't like our scenes per se. And we just helped each other out a lot. He's very supportive. He's a wonderful person to work opposite of. And I think it built into the, Anne and Henry's relationship on screen.
What do you do to warm yourself up or to get yourself ready for a scene? Do you have any kind of routine in the trailer, or do you have something that you say to yourself, or drink, or anything like that before you hit your mark?
It's a great question. I definitely have a few vocal exercises to try to get myself, like, what they call it, like, on your voice instead of like placed strangely. I sound like a lunatic doing it, but but it works. It gets you on your voice. So I do stuff like that. If I have any other things that I'm like hanging on to for that particular scene, I might like review my notes or try to like sit in, run the scene emotionally, kind of like in my own body without saying anything, and just kind of get the emotional cadence. You don't want to plan too much because you want a little room to be surprised, but just
Yeah.
to know intentions are in the scene, what you're trying to convey, what your goals are. I review all of those notes before walking into it, as well as usually the lines. Like, typically, if the actor who's working opposite me is willing to kind of, run it a few times so that we get the musicality of the scene in our bodies before we put it on camera, would love to do that as well. But otherwise, yeah, prepare in advance, and then hopefully when you get on set, you're just there playing and you're free enough to be able to kind of move with it and discover new things in the moment.
What about rejection as an actor? I mean, how are you finding it at the moment? Since I know there's pre-COVID, there's COVID, and there's now, are you finding the opportunities for yourself are there, or is it harder to try and find projects? And I'm guessing self-tapes are more prevalent now than an actual face one-on-one audition.
Absolutely. I mean, self-tapes are kind of the way now. Honestly, like, the majority of things are self-tapes, and every now and then, if you're really lucky, you'll get into a room. But even, like, for instance, this project was all via self-tape. The callback was via self-tape, and now a lot of times chemistry reads, oddly enough, are also via Zoom. You
Okay.
very rarely see another human being until you reach the set these days, and that is totally different. I do miss the rooms. I love meeting people in person and like, just kind of being able to like vibe out and in that way. So I do miss that. I think a lot of actors miss that. But opportunities are still coming through. They come in all different ways, whether it's an audition or offers, or, if you've worked with people in the past, like, all of those things are still coming in, but it is different. And obviously COVID affected the way that we tape, affected the way that we audition, affected the way that we interact as artists. But more than anything, actually, I think right now is just the aftermath of the strike, the SAG strike. And that was such an enormous thing to happen back to back with COVID. And for actors, it was just, I mean, really devastating, because it's just like years of stretches where there are these massive hiatuses from work. So it really changed the face of our industry. And it was, I think a lot of us were depressed for a while, because it was just kind of like wanting to get back out there and get on a set and just do what you love again. So excited for that to all be over, and hopefully it stays over for a while.
Yeah, totally agree. Do you remember what your first job, I'm sure you do, your first job with your SAG card, or what got you your SAG card was?
It was, oh my God, I think it was actually a Nikon commercial. Yeah, like, for the cameras. And I literally was just
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
camera, and then they thought my hands were, I have, I guess, fairly large hands. And so I had like a girl who's hired to be my hands, she would just sit below me and her hands would float up, and I would just sat there with my face staring forward. I always thought that was so funny, the hand models for all of these commercials.
That's a good thing. And like you said, the strike was so uh, it was inferior to get things done. And I think things are changing in Hollywood. As a female, have you had like no hurdles coming through, with auditions, and the Me Too movement and Time's Up has really, well, it's not taken over, unfortunately, completely, but have you had smooth sailing in your career so far? Nothing that's been too bad?
Oh, wow. This is quite the question. I don't know that I'll dive into like the full response today, but I have definitely been affected. I have absolutely been affected by, the Me Too movement, Time's Up, all of those things. Like, problems on set for women are very, very real. And it's something that you just face in the industry. It's unfortunate. I think that they're starting to make changes now, which is huge.
Yeah,
Like, honestly, the fact that now intimacy coordinators are a mandated part of SAG sets with if there's ever like love scenes or anything like that is such an
yeah,
enormous stride towards change, and it's so needed. And I think honestly, men and women alike love that. It keeps everybody safe,
yeah,
keeps everyone protected. There's no confusion. It's when you're interacting and you're doing this scene work or love scenes or things like that, like things get complicated. It's still
of
two
course.
human beings. And you want to be as safe as possible when you're in that scenario, right? Because this is just your job. It's a day at the office. So
Yeah,
it's just, as many protections as can be put in place for actors, I think it's a good thing. It can only help. And obviously, the more people who speak up about the potential problems on sets, whether that's in the fashion industry or in the entertainment industry, the better, because it's, and it goes both ways. Obviously, women are more adversely affected. At least I believe. I shouldn't potentially say that because I don't have the other perspective with me at all times. But everyone is affected, so it's protections are good.
yeah. Having spoken to Mira Savino, who's one of the pioneers of this, and it's happened to her, and it's directly, and the changes, and it's not just Hollywood, of course, and the movie film industry. It's across the board in music, and that things have definitely changed. And thank you for giving me your opinion at least. And
Of
it's a
course.
big thing that looking forward to when we don't have to talk about it, which hopefully in my lifetime that's the case.
Right.
Now, yes, projects for you. Have you got anything coming up that you can share other than Bushy Run? Something that you'd like to let me know about? Maybe an exclusive? Any roles
I
in the
would
future?
I would love to. I'm literally in the middle of in the next like 48 hours in the middle of like closing kind of the next deal on the next film. So I literally, because the paperwork isn't signed, I don't want to, I don't want to jinx it. We are superstitious as actors, but
Yeah.
if it goes through, it's sort of like a fun, like like sort of like a thriller, but like girl gang thriller comedy situation, which would be a good time. So fingers crossed.
Well,
Fingers crossed it all works.
yeah, fingers crossed for you. You've had experience with thrillers and quite accomplished ones.
Yeah.
So, so I think maybe that's a good thing. You're not gonna jinx yourself.
It's true. Yeah, I've done it before, so who knows? But yeah, we'll see. You never know. I've been
Is there
surprised
anything
before.
you
Paperwork is signed, I never get excited about anything.
oh look, totally. Don't I'm a pessimist. So I don't think I'm gonna get anything or get anywhere in my career. But apparently I'm okay. Well, doing what I do. So you're the same, I'm sure. Is there anything that you haven't done that you'd like to do? Can you sing? Maybe a musical, or something along those lines. Some really hardcore satire comedy, maybe.
I would love both of those things. I do sing. I love to sing. I'm not Adele, but I would absolutely love to do some sort of like, musical theater, like a Broadway play come to life or on screen, like, like Wicked, or I know they just did Mean Girls or something like that would be a total
Yeah,
blast. I would live for that experience. And I would also love to do comedy. I used to do improv back in New York. I was like on a UCB team, and I used to kind of do that on like Tuesday nights. And I would love to work with some of the comedic greats. That would be. I mean, there's nothing I love more than just laughing all day every day, and so throwing some heavy comedy into my resume would not suck.
well, look, there's so many female comedians out there now too, because a lot of the actors that I've had as guests started like you in improv, New York,
Yeah,
LA, wherever it might have been, but they're female, and it's more prevalent, I think, than male in some ways now.
completely. Yeah. Incredible female comedians. I said comedians. Um, yeah, absolutely amazing. And like Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, Melissa McCarthy, like all of these women, just like they kill me. Oh my God, Sherry Cola, so funny. Aquafina,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, definitely. Do you take notes or a diary when you're on set for each project? Is it something in the future you might write a book about your experiences in both modeling and acting?
Maybe. I mean, I keep fastidious journals in my life in general. Like I've always kept journals. I have probably like 35 black books for the last decade, just like sitting all in a row. And I do it cathartically. So I don't specifically sit down and write about each project, but I am constantly journaling throughout my life. So I'm sure I have every single project cataloged just by nature. So I could write a book. I mean, there's certainly enough to cover. I'd have to find an angle, but I wouldn't be opposed to
Yeah.
that. That would be tremendous fun.
What about a couple of more questions before we wrap up? But what about personal life outside of acting and doing what you do on screen? Is there something that you enjoy doing off screen to relax, or do you go on holidays, or read, or walk, exercise? What's your go-to for just chilling out when you're not working?
Completely. My like go-to therapeutic thing is actually like hot yoga. I absolutely love hot yoga. It keeps me sane. It's like my exclusive workout, so I will do that. Otherwise, just I love, great dinners with friends. Like there's nothing I love more than just having an amazing like friend night, game night, laughing, like chatting, just, yeah, I just love to laugh. So any situation where I can put myself with other human beings where we're just having a good time and cracking jokes, that's always going to be what I'm going to want to do to unwind. And then, my own little like Zen moments for myself and just, time with the dog, time with the husband, things like that.
Yes. Well, that
Yeah.
sounds like the perfect date. Dog, husband, and laughing while eating a nice meal.
This is all I need from life, and I will be content.
Can you surf? Now, there's some great beaches down under in Australia. Are you able to surf?
I have tried to surf one time and I absolutely crashed. And I'm pretty sure I like cut my side open on a rock. And basically that was my first and last time surfing. It wasn't too bad. I've obviously, I survived, but it did hurt my ego and I didn't get back out there, unfortunately.
No. What about your oldest piece of clothing? Now, you've been a model, so you've probably got a lot of clothes. Do you, off the top of your head, what's the oldest piece of clothing that you own and won't never throw away, something vintage?
Oh my God. Oldest piece of clothing. It's probably, I have actually a decent amount. Maybe my prom dress. Like I think
Oh,
I
that's
still
big.
have that. I think maybe there's obviously like things in the baby box. Like I have a baby box with like cute little clothes. Like that throws way back. But like I could probably still fit into my prom dress, and I just haven't had the heart to throw it away. I keep a lot of evening wear. I love evening wear, and like it's hard for me to let it go once I
Sure,
have my moment
sure.
with it. So if girls need to borrow, I've got a stacked closet.
Pretty in pink prom dress or something, another
It was
color,
kind
another
of
shade?
crazy. I wore like a crazy, like midi gold, like a puffy intense gold Betsy Johnson dress. I was like
Oh.
my personality era. I was trying to be loud and different, and in that moment, I really was. So
And finally, Bushy Run. It has two directors, obviously, Larry and David, Larry David. What was it like? Did one direct more than the other, or did they have different days on set? How did you experience that?
yeah, I had never worked with like two directors simultaneously before, and I also was a little like, all right, how's this gonna go? But they are so close and they've worked together for so long that they actually have a really great dynamic. Like Dave kind of comes in and paints this like overall picture of the scene, and he'll like have the chat with you and be like, okay, guys, this is what we're doing. Here we go. This is what we want from the scene. Here's your blocking. Let's do the overarching arc. And then Larry is, of course, like there and like giving notes as well and giving his 2 cents, but he's more the introvert. But we then start filming, and then Larry would be the guy who'd come in and he'd like whisper something to you that would like unlock the entire scene emotionally, and you're just like, dude, Larry, thank you. It's like he was just constantly watching to figure out like which piece of the puzzle was missing, and then like Dave is like painting the big strokes. And they're both, and of course they both did both things, but that was my experience of them and their like interaction together, and they really were very well balanced. I couldn't have imagined the film without either of them, honestly. I'm very glad we had both voices.
Were you under pressure at all as an actor because it was an independent film, or it was just like any other project you've done? Because I'm sure as an actor you want to get it right. I mean, you do all the time, but on an
Yeah,
indie, there's less time, less money.
that's true. I feel I always feel a bit of pressure whenever I come onto a project because I also want it to go well. You hope that what you're bringing to the project is, being translated on film. You hope that everyone else is, keeping up their end of the bargain so that we're all supporting in the ways that we're meant to. Because obviously, a film is a collaborative medium. It doesn't work unless you have all of these people doing their jobs well and coming together. But I also felt very supported by everyone who was, the producers, the directors, everyone who was on the project was so kind and affirming and supportive that I never felt like the entire weight of the project was going to land on my shoulders. There's always moments where you feel like, oh God, we've done like, maybe we're 7 takes in and you're like, God, why can't I get this? But, some takes click like that and some takes, they take a little bit longer and that's part of it.
Well, like I said, you're perfect for the role. You look not only great in the costumes, I think your voice and your style and your presence on screen, on your own or with Tom, with other castmates. So well done. Congratulations. I hope this does well. In your final words, like, why should people watch this movie? I mean, you don't really have to be a history aficionado to watch it. I'm not, and I learned a few things. What, in your words, why should people choose to watch this great film?
For me, I feel like this film is for people who love period piece genre films, who love history, who love learning about history through film, and who want to see like a beautiful story and a gorgeous and honest and like a fun, gorgeous battle, like in tandem. Like there's so much to be enjoyed within that for people who love this genre. And I feel like anyone who gravitates towards it should just scoop it up, enjoy it, and run with it because it's one of those. It's like it serves up all of the genre, all that great genre-ness that you crave. So get out there, history buffs. Come check us out.
And it's romantic, which is very
And it's
important in my eyes. I'm a softie.
That's true. And anyone who loves a love story, then it also serves that up.